Hello everyone. Today in this video, we will be dealing with the basic and the important sections of Hindu Marriage Act 1955. Section 1 to Section 8 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955, it gives you the precise idea of the Hindu marriage as well as it puts up the light upon some important concept. So here we'll start the video. Basically, family law is divided into two categories, that is the Hindu law and the Muslim law. The Hindu law is further subcategorized into the first is Hindu Marriage Act 1955, the second one is Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 1956, the third one is the Hindu Succession Act 1956, and the fourth one is the Hindu Minority and Guardianship Act 1956. In this video, we will be focusing on the Hindu Marriage Act 1955. In India, we have the system of personal law. So, what is the personal law? A personal law, it applies to those who profess a particular religion. So, in the same way, the Hindu law is applicable to Hindus only, as Hindu is a particular religion, right? So, the Hindu Marriage Act 1955, it came into force to secure the rights of a Hindu marriage and make husband and wife to live their lives together harmoniously as well as make their bond stronger under the religious bond of marriage. So, the question comes up in our mind, why are we learning or understanding the Hindu Marriage Act 1955? What is the main purpose of studying the act? So, we will be seeing the main purpose of studying the act. The main purpose of studying the act is we can understand the basic concept of marriage, what solutions are provided in the act, if any dispute occurs between husband and wife, or what is the validity or the legal importance of the act, and the most important, what are the rights given to the couple under the act. So, here we start with Section 1 to Section 8 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955. Section 1 talks about where is the act applicable. I would like to focus your attention to the most important amendment in Section 1. As we know till now, what we would to say the act is applicable for India but except Jammu and Kashmir. But now, listen to me carefully, but now it extends to whole of India and it applies to Hindus domiciled in the territories, and it also extends who are outside the said territories. I repeat, this is the important change and we need to remember it when we deal with the Hindu Marriage Act 1955. Now we will be moving forward towards Section 2 of the Act. Section 2 of the Act talks about the application of the Act. The Act is applicable to any person who is a Hindu by religion, any of its form, and it includes a Vairashya, a Lingayat, or a follower of Brahmo or Arya Samaj. Any person who is Buddhist, Jain, or Sikh by religion, they are also applicable under the Act. I hope you're clear with both the sections 1 and 2. So we'll proceed with the next section 3. What is section 3? Section 3 talks about some important definitions. The first is the custom and the usage. In general sense, if we think custom, it means a tradition which is widely accepted or something that is specifically followed by a particular society at a particular time. But here the custom definition is designed in a legal manner. Custom signifies any rule which has been continuously and uniformly observed for a long time, and it has obtained the force of law among Hindus in any local area, tribe, community group or family. The custom, as we know, they are made by people, so even law has made such a rule which is not opposed to public policy and which is not unreasonable. Some customs are such which are only followed by family. Even they have been given the legal importance. So, custom is nothing but a long-lasting tradition which is made by public and followed by people in the society. The second definition is about the district court. In simple words, a court situated in a particular district is a district court, right? We understand the concept this by a name itself. But as per the Act, court in any area, which is the city civil court, and it has the original jurisdiction and also specified by the state government and also specified in the official gazette that which matters would be dealt by the district court. So this is what the definition of district court in the Act talks about. We'll be proceeding with the third definition. The third definition is regarding the full blood, the half blood, and the uterine blood. These are the important concepts in the family law under the Hindu Marriage Act 1955. In full blood, the mother, the father, and the children, they are connected by blood relation. They are known as full blood. A simple definition. Second is about the half blood. What is half blood? Whereas in the half blood, the children have two different mothers, but the common father. And the third, in the uterine blood, children have different father, but a common mother. This is all about the full blood, the half blood, and the uterine blood. Fourth definition is about the Sapinda relationship. Sapindas, it is a term, it is used in a context of cousin marriages in Hinduism. See, in Sapinda relationship, the line of a generation has been traced towards, which means ascent. Ascent means what? It means it goes upward, in the upward direction. So, see, in the third generation of mother, but it includes the mother generation also, that is the mother's father, their father, etc. Same goes with the father, but father are being considered by 5 generations. So Sapinda relationship is nothing but the generations of father and mother which goes in the upward direction, that is we saw that is the ascent. Next comes the prohibited relationship. Under prohibited relationship, some relationships are prohibited by law. Those relationships, they cannot marry with each other. For example, illegitimate blood relationship, relation by adoption, brother, sister, uncle and niece, and aunt and nephew, etc. This is all about the prohibited relationship. Let's move forward with section 4. Now we'll see what section 4 talks about. Section 4 talks about the overriding effect. It is simple to understand. Just pay attention. See, if there is any rule or interpretation before commencement of this act, it will come to an end with effective provision made in this act. And the second is what? See, in any other law, in force immediately, but before commencement of this act, it will come to an end if it is inconsistent with any provision of this act. Now we'll see what section 5 of act deals with. Section 5 talks about the conditions of marriage. This is the important section when the couple marries or when a Hindu couple gets married. The first condition is what? The age of marriage. It's 21 for male and 18 for female. This is clear. What is the second important condition? It's that the both husband and wife, they should be Hindu only, and then only their marriage will be valid under Hindu Marriage Act. If any one of them, for example, take husband, if he is not Hindu and the wife is Hindu, then their marriage will be considered under the Special Marriage Act. The third condition is the mental capacity. As we know, marriage is a sacrament, or we can say it is a type of contract. And if we need to have a valid contract, then the mental capacity is essential element in the contract. So, same if we see in the case of marriage, both husband and wife while marrying, they should be of the sound mind and they should be mentally capable to marry each other. Then only they can make their bond stronger and live their life together happily. Moving with the fourth condition, it is the monogamy. See what is monogamy. At time of marriage, no spouse should be in any other relation with the third party. Both spouses should be individual and free from any relation, if they have any relation, before with third party, if divorce procedure is there, whatever it may be, it should be cleared and they should move forward with the individuals. This is what about the fourth condition. The fifth condition is, it is about the prohibition on account of relationship by blood. That is, while marrying, it should not be Sapinda relationship or the prohibited degree of relationship. I would like to make you remember that in the above definition sections, we saw these both concepts. I hope you remember. These are the 5 conditions which needs to be followed to perform a valid Hindu marriage. Now, moving with section 7 and section 8. Now we'll see section 7 and section 8 together as they have a collateral connection with each other. So section 7, it talks about ceremonies of marriage, and section 8 talks about the registration of marriage. Under section 7, marriage should be performed by following the customary rites and rituals of Hindu marriage without requisite ceremonies it is null and void. Ceremony will include the Varmala, the Saptapadi, which is mandatory. Section 8, as I said, it talks about the registration of marriage. See why I said these both sections are collateral to each other, because if marriage has been performed by following the rituals, it is not necessary and it is not mandatory to make the registration of marriage. But if it is done by Section 7 under the procedure of Hindu Marriage Act, what we saw, then it is a valid marriage. Registration of marriage is done if the ceremony is not been followed as per the rituals of Hindu marriage, and then it has been used as an evidence in the court of law. To fulfill the registration process, we need to complete some conditions. What are the conditions? We'll proceed with those. First, a ceremony of marriage should be performed. Parties have been living together as husband and wife. And thirdly, parties must be residing within the district of marriage officer for a period of 30 days as soon as the application is filed. State government, it makes the rules regarding registration of marriage for a particular state. I would like to grab your attention towards Section 114 of Indian Evidence Act. It says that if there is no independent evidence of marriage, then we can presume it as a valid marriage by cohabitation between parties unless the contrary is proved. So as we say, it is a form of evidence in the court of law. It has a connection with Section 114 of Indian Evidence Act. I hope you are clear with all the sections, that is Section 1 to Section 8 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955. If you have any queries regarding the same or any questions regarding the same, you can comment in the comment box given below. Thank you.